Feels like he's tripping lately. Spaced out for sure, people are talking. He wanders the floor, negotiation. What's gonna feels like he's tripping lately. It's like my mind is a door to elevation. Need I say more interpretation? Can't stop or go for now. One sultry python. So many colors they are made of. Treasure. Can't stop or go for now. One sultry python. They all just wanna be a part of. One sultry python. Treasure. Feels like he's tripping lately. Don't know anyone that's unaffected. All said and done, looks like you're next to. What's gonna feels like he's tripping lately. Looks like he's chasing insane. People are talking. What's in a name? Caught in the game. Can't stop or go for now. One sultry python. So many colors they are made of. Treasure. Can't stop or go for now. One sultry python. They all just wanna be a part of. One sultry python. Treasure. Strange love. Strange love. So many colors they are made of. Strange love. Stop or go for now. One sultry python. So many colors they are made of. Strange love. Can't stop or go for now. One sultry python. They all just wanna be a part of. One sultry python. Strange love.
Donald Trump, former president of the United States, has now been indicted on 4 counts.
It's count 1, conspiracy to defraud the United States. Count 2, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. Count 3, obstruction of an attempt to obstruct an official proceeding. And count 4, conspiracy against rights.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has begun. The United States of America is officially going to do something, anything, my God, about the coup d'etat that was attempted in 2020. Yeah, Donald Trump appears to be facing criminal charges. Yes! Well done to each and every last one of you that did not let this go. Hell of a good job. Well, as far as the what you can do about it, nothing. You did it. That's it. That's it for the what you can do. Rest of this show, just enjoying the moment with damn good company. How are you tonight, Mars Falcon, Tinkerbell, Christy Zilkowski, Wicked Foxy Dragon, hello, Brendan Carter, hello, Brenton Carter, excuse me. Oh my God, dawned on me, great to see you, Elaine Sharp, hello. Oh my word, drink, yes, indeed, and look, we don't have the same laws in every state, but let me just say the contents of this particular brown paper bag will be greatly reduced by tomorrow's, let's admit it, mildly nonsensical stream. Oh, dawned on me. Isn't he like always late? Yeah. Oh, yeah, fashionably so. The Mike's Dead Show. Ooh, Mars Falcon. What a great day. The Mike's Dead Show. You're a good egg. Just lately, having a chuckle. Radical Centrist. Hello. Y'all. I've been having just a fantastic afternoon. We're gonna read through the indictment. Sure. We'll pick, and we'll poke, we'll make fun where necessary. I might even have one or two thoughts about how it could have been done better, or sooner, or kvetching about this or that. Now's not the time. Our boy Jack Smith just did something that has literally never been done before. It might have taken this kid a couple of gulps before he was willing to jump off the high dive, but he did it. So he is in the Respect Club. From now on, he's in the Respect Club. He did it. I mean, it's taken every, the straining of every face muscle I have not to just grin ear to ear for the entirety of this broadcast. Oh, Lordy Lou. Probably get to the actual clips, though, because there's a lot of people that talked about this. They all had great points. There was folks from every inch of the internet. Let's start with, in my opinion, the golden boy of the left these days. He's the future ex-husband of one of our beloved members of the audience and our moderator. I look forward to attending the wedding and the divorce. I'll bring presents for both. And it is, of course, Brian Tyler Cohen. He gave, once again, no wonder this guy's on MSNBC now. He gave the best breakdown that there is for exactly what the charges are, what the charges mean. I haven't recorded an intro. I was too darn giddy to talk to y'all. This is why you want to be in the Senate as opposed to necessarily the VOD watchers later. There's nothing wrong with watching the VOD. All right, let's do it. Small news item that I wanted to cover in case it was missed. Donald Trump's been indicted for the January 6th. He's being charged for the January 6th insurrection. You remember that thing? It was, there was a lot of other news that covered it, swamped it immediately. Joe Biden, shortly thereafter, got inaugurated. And that took up a lot of the headlines. But yeah, it was an attempted insurrection. And here's Brian Tyler Cohen talking about what it means for a country, for our country, now that we are actually, my God, actually dealing with it in a court of law.
One of the biggest developments in the history of this country, Donald Trump has now been indicted in the Department of Justice's case into Trump's efforts to steal the 2020 election and the events surrounding the January 6th insurrection. Boom. This is now the third indictment for Donald Trump, who's also facing 34 felony counts in the Manhattan DA case and 37 charges in the DOJ's other case regarding the theft of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump is the first former president in American history to have been indicted even once, much less 3 times, as is the case now. We won't know the precise charges against Trump until his arraignment, but reporting references 3 criminal statutes as part of this case, 2 of which were also referred by the January 6th committee: conspiracy to defraud the government and obstruction of an official proceeding. But the third is a new one, Section 241 of Title 18, making it a crime to conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution or laws of the United States. A 241 conspiracy charge is generally used in voting fraud conspiracies, which would apply here given Trump's whole effort to discard hundreds of thousands, if not millions of votes for Joe Biden while attempting.
Okay, in my opinion, all right, to clarify, I think all of these are incredibly important. Every last charge is important, obviously, but I did in my little not so private list of desires for these charges want to see that specifically dealt with. Interfering with the American people's right to choose their president. God damn it. That is really, in my opinion, the core of the offense here. Yeah, he got people killed, and that's got to be dealt with. Just like if he had, say, shot somebody on Fifth Avenue, that would have to be dealt with. But what makes this crime so different from every other crime that happens all the time is that this guy tried to undo American democracy. One of basically the main things that makes you an American is the belief in free and fair elections. I mean, that's sort of what we had a big war in the 1700s about. So the fact that this is one of the charges specifically. Perfect. Excellent. Brian, let him have it.
To pressure officials into anointing him the winner of an election that he lost. You'll of course remember Trump's efforts to pressure Brad Raffensperger to find 11,780 non-existent votes in Georgia, exactly one more vote than he lost by in that state. There was also Trump's efforts to pressure Arizona Governor Doug Ducey, who we just found out has been cooperating with federal prosecutors against Donald Trump. Trump had summoned a raft of state legislators to the White House. We know of a number of slates of false electors in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And of course, Michigan District Attorney Dana Nessel has just indicted 16 of them in Michigan. There was the Texas lawsuit seeking to invalidate the election results in 4 other states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. An argument could be made that any number of those examples could qualify as a violation of Section 241. Of course, these statutes aren't guarantees of the charges against him, but they offer some insight into how prosecutors in the DOJ have likely built their case against Donald Trump. Another major element of this case will be the avalanche of testimony compiled both from DOJ interviews and testimony from the January 6th committee, primarily from Republicans and Trump officials. I know that our collective memory is short these days, but here's a quick reminder of some of the testimony revealed by the January 6th committee that unto itself already presents a pretty insurmountable hurdle for Trump's defense.
Mr. Cipollone said, we're going to get charged with every crime imaginable.
I did not agree with the idea of saying the election was stolen and putting out this stuff, which I told the president was bull.
Are you out of your effing mind?
It was not true. He's become detached from reality.
What they were proposing, I thought was nuts.
Mark said something to the effect of, things might get real bad.
I overheard the president say something to the effect of,
Mark Meadows, as in the guy who's been awful quiet lately. Mark Meadows, as in the former president's chief of staff, Mark Meadows. He expressed foreknowledge of what was going to happen. That's not a small thing. It feels like a small thing because years have gone by since we found that out and nothing happened till now. Nothing happened till about, 8 months, a year after, it feels like a long time, after Jack Smith was appointed special counsel. 8 months. A year, it's not been long. It's been, I don't know, 6 months? It's been a short amount of time. My point being the amount of time it should have taken Merrick Garland to reach these conclusions. Do note that a lot of this damning evidence he's replaying was taken by the January 6th committee. Jesus God, let's just let the man keep going. Oh, I'm eating up every last bit of this.
I don't effing care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me. Let my people in.
And again, these were not the rabid leftists that Republicans complain about. These were lifelong Republican officials. Bill Barr, Cassidy Hutchinson, Eric Hirschman. And that's just the people we know about publicly. So no, this isn't some left-wing witch hunt against Donald Trump. It is a legitimate indictment buttressed by the people closest to him. Now, this indictment comes in the aftermath of more than 1,000 participants in the events of January 6 having been charged. Nearly half of them have been sentenced, with prison sentences ranging from 7 days to 10 years. I spoke with former federal prosecutor Glenn Kirshner about what a potential Trump prison sentence would look like if he's ultimately convicted in this indictment, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, there's really no normal when it comes to, in the event a former president of the United States is convicted on these counts or similar counts, how long might he spend in prison? But if we look at the statutory penalties, I think they're instructive. So a conspiracy, pretty much any conspiracy, including a conspiracy to commit offenses against or defraud the United States, carries a 5-year penalty, whereas obstructing an official proceeding, right, trying to stop the certification of Joe Biden's win, carries up to 20 years in prison. So I think the takeaway, Brian, is that regardless of, how many offenses of conviction Donald Trump ends up with on his criminal resume, he's going to be sentenced to something that is a de facto life term, given his age, and assuming a judge actually sentences him to prison, to incarceration, rather than...
Now look, at some point, I'm going to say we ought to turn the pressure up on ensuring that a proper punishment is given. Hand to God, I think we might not have to. Obviously, still stretching my legs a little bit on this. Generally speaking, just to get to brass tacks, I think the way it's going to go, we're going to see how Trump is handled in the rest of his myriad cases. And if he gets little wrist slaps for other crimes that he is accused of, then we can make a big deal about those after the fact and not have to worry about interfering with the process as it's happening. That said, this one, and this is good news, it's just a complication, this one looks like it is going to be quick. So that means not all of the other ones will be done with. Worry about that tomorrow. Genuinely, let's take a night just to freaking enjoy ourselves. And we're going to do it twice over because it's a 2 for Tuesday, baby. Best Tuesday of my entire life, and I'm honored to share it with y'all. I had a nephew born on a Tuesday. Sorry, buddy, this one's better.
than something like home confinement.
And granted, that is a million steps from where we are today, but it underscores the seriousness of the crimes that Donald Trump's committed and the charges that he'll likely be facing. And let's be clear, the fact that Donald Trump's fate is still in question is already evidence of a system that has bent over backwards to defer to him. If it was any other person who committed the crimes that Trump committed, they'd already know their bunkmate's life story. They'd already have forgotten what the sky looks like. They would already be confined to a concrete cell with no chance of ever seeing the outside again. So when Trump cries victim and presents himself as some kind of a martyr here, just remember, he is doing so while enjoying the perks and carve-outs that quite literally no other human on the face of the earth would enjoy. Trump isn't a victim here. He is an elite con man who used public pressure in his position of power to insulate himself from well-deserved accountability until today. Now, I should note that one act for which Trump insulate himself from well-deserved accountability until today. Now, I should note that one act for which Trump will likely be charged by Jack Smith is the phone call to Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, which of course overlaps with the phone.
What a wonderful way to put that. If he was anybody else, he would already know his bunkmate's life story. True. So true. Every time I hear, all right, let's try this again. Every time you hear somebody complain about this being Trump being persecuted, it being a witch hunt, blah, 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 come at them with that. Anybody else would have been in prison for a long time already. Trump is being treated differently. He's being treated with kid gloves to the point where the rest of us have to really question whether or not we live in a fair system. And frankly, I think the answer has been provided for us already. No, we don't. You can get right-wing psychos on board by offering this. Look, we need to make the system fair. We need to make it so that when somebody is president, they do not get to feel like a king. They don't get to even suspect they might be a king. In order to do that, we should eliminate all the rules that powerful people put in place without our consent, by the way, such as the OLC's opinion that you cannot prosecute a sitting president. Eliminate those rules. Demand that laws be put in place that supersede them, that say you very much can. You can charge a sitting president. You can kick in the door to the White House and arrest that punk. I do not want a president feeling more safe than me. I want a president chewing the Jim Christ out of the end of their fingernails. I want he or she to be a little bit scared that at any time the fuzz are going to come for them, like many of us are. That's what I want. And you can get some right-wingers on board with helping you pass these rules by saying, okay, look, you can't unget Trump. How'd you like to get Biden? Because I tell you, if you guys manage to prove, I don't think you will, because you're knuckleheads. But do a different word, because you're dingbats. I don't think you guys can prove that Biden did anything illegal. But if you can, then you should be able to arrest him about it. I don't care if he's president or not. So help me change the rules to make that possible. Because I don't like you all, you MAGA voters. I don't like it. But I genuinely hate billionaires. I genuinely hate the most powerful in America. I think they're filth, and I think they need to be afraid of us. So let's make them afraid of us. You and I, MAGA folks, we can swallow our distaste for each other and deal with that in our own personal time. But for a moment, let's gang up and eat these just personal feelings. Anyway, back to the celebration.
Fulton County District Attorney case over the same phone call. I discussed the implications of Trump being indicted in two separate jurisdictions for the same crime with Glenn, and here's what he had to say.
Often when somebody commits a crime, it can violate both state law and federal law. And I'm pleased to report Donald Trump has done precisely that. With that corrupt ask, right? Just find me 11,780 votes and corruptly declare me the winner. He not only violated Georgia state law for soliciting election fraud, but he also violated any number of federal laws. And in preparation for this discussion, Brian, I printed one of those federal laws out. A person who, in any election for federal office, knowingly and willfully deprives, defrauds, or attempts to deprive or defraud the residents of a state of a fair and impartially conducted election process by false, fictitious, or fraudulent tabulation of ballots commits a 5-year federal felony. That is precisely what Donald Trump did on that corrupt phone call. So,
oh, Glenn Kirshner. Man gives me the vapors, I swear. Oh, that's just beautiful. Keep saying it, Daddy.
He could easily be charged with a criminal violation of that statute, and frankly, plenty others, because I think the big ticket crime that we're going to see indicted against Donald Trump and others for this whole scheme to try to corruptly overturn the 2020 presidential election results is going to be a conspiracy to commit crimes against or defraud the United States. I predict that's going to be the umbrella charge, and then a whole lot of more specific federal statutes will be indicted because he violated any number of federal election laws.
Now, there is one more point besides the legal stuff and the technical stuff. Let's not forget that this indictment is in response to Trump orchestrating and inciting one of the most treasonous acts in the history of this country. Boom. For the first time ever, an American president refused to honor the peaceful transfer of power. And not only that, he was so hell-bent on refusing that transfer of power that he incited an insurrection against his own government to prevent the process from happening. If Trump didn't get indicted for these crimes, it would have completely decimated faith in our justice system. So not only should this move by the DOJ be warranted, it was an absolute necessity. The fact is that if Donald Trump isn't held accountable now, it'll not only serve as license for him to do it again, but every other Republican who views himself or herself in the mold of Donald Trump. There has to be strong action to disincentivize this type of behavior. And in fact, without it, it's effectively an invitation to keep employing the same tactics. The criminal justice system has an obligation to prevent this from happening again, and the only way that happens is if strong action is taken. This is not about Donald Trump's policies, insofar as he had any policies. This is not about his piss-poor character or his insecurity or his narcissism. This is about his decision to undermine a free and fair election to remain in power, and his decision to incite an insurrection in order to do so. No one made him do it. This isn't about the Democrats or Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton or the deep state or Hunter Biden or Barack Obama. This is about Donald Trump choosing to commit a crime for which he's now being indicted. So while the meltdowns and temper tantrums are inevitable, just remember that no one made him do what he did. He can cast blame every which way, and he will, but only one person is responsible, and that's the person who's just been indicted by the Department of Justice today. Before you go, I need some...
No. Haymaker Hank. That's his nickname tonight. Well done, Brian Tyler Cohen. Good God. No notes. Beautifully put. Exactly correct. Trump, if this is not prosecuted fully and completely, gavel falls, that man rots in prison for the rest of time. If that does not, in a box for the rest of time. If that doesn't happen, we're dunzos as a democracy. That's it. Of course, he's got to go to prison for this. And by the way, we already dropped the ball. This is just truth. Don't feel bad. This is not about feeling bad tonight. It's just a fact to say. The fact that it took this long means that this is close to the minimum necessary, the minimum amount of betrayal of our country necessary to be imprisoned for. We need to change that perception real quick. We need laws on the books because we have demonstrated that the laws on the books are not sufficient. We need requirements put on the books for investigating this stuff. As in, you have a minimum amount of time to do it, or you're fired, or you yourself are imprisoned. I don't have the mental state at present. I'm too fired up. And I certainly don't have the education to just off the cuff rattle off the kind of laws we need. So I'm not going to pitch anything specific tonight. But in the broad strokes, the laws we need to put on the books will have to ensure that much less obvious behavior, much less illegal behavior is necessary to get punished for betraying our country. It's not like every other mailman out there is doing a coup against the United States. It's not like the garbage collectors are sending telegram chats to each other that could accidentally be considered a coup against the United States. No. We will have to, in the future, come up with laws that make betraying the United States dealt with quicker and harshly, because we just can't have it. That's the bare. Having a free and fair election is the bare minimum necessary to have a free country at all. But the good news is, even though it will have to be dealt with quicker in the future, being dealt with now. Finally. It is being dealt with now. And I have no doubt in my heart whatsoever that it's because of you. Because the American people did not put up with, yet again, powerful people being allowed to just get away with it. It's because of you. Every generation that was alive before us failed to do this. We, in previous years, as the American people, failed to do this. But finally, we insisted that the powerful get treated like the rest of us, and you ought to be damn proud. I'm proud of you. See what the wicked community has to say. Obsessive audio. This indictment gets closer to a functioning system. GOP will still run Trump as their candidate. Manada? What? I'm thinking about Canada. Sorry. MAGA will still vote for him, even if in prison. True. Diana Dean. Oh, talking about Rextrack. Let's go up to Rextrack. Diana Dean saying, I think that stupid rule about not being able to charge someone who is in the electoral race as you approach the election needs to be set aside. People need to know who they are voting for. And Rextrack agreeing 100%. Yes. That's a silly rule. It's supposed to be to keep the Department of Justice from interfering with our elections. It has not, to my knowledge, accomplished that at all. It hadn't accomplished that. Rextrek with a very kind $2. Thank you. Like the warden in Shawshank Redemption. Yeah. It's a good analogy for it. Yes. Ooh. Scott Ward with a very kind $5. Thank you for the super chat, both of you lads. Thank you. A lot of Republicans died from COVID. The families are stuck in the disbelief stage of grief. Trump and Putin want us holding China responsible. Yes, this is so true. What follows denial? I know these stages of grief don't necessarily always follow the same order, but what generally follows denial? Anger. Anger does. And I think when we hit anger, that's going to be right around election time. I think people are going to sour on Trump awful quick. Awful quick. I don't mean quick in terms of after the man did the crimes. I mean the beginning of being angry with Trump will start and then flame up huge. And we're going to have suddenly people despising Trump. I think there's going to be a pretty big divide in the Republican Party, and that's going to be followed by bargaining, where a lot of them are going to look at the Democrats and say, well, maybe we could do Republican things under the Democrat banner. That's what I've been largely preparing for the last 6 months. Dawned on me, I really just want to let Jake know he has a great suit on tonight. Thank you. I am a fan of this one. I don't want to brag, but I got it from the J.C. Penney, where I also got the majority of my suits. Look, they have my size there, and they have bright colors there. And boy, I like a nice, I like sure, I'll do the navy blue suit occasionally and what have you, but I like a little splash of color. I like to look like a 40-year-old man from the middle of Brooklyn going to church on a Wednesday. That's generally my look. Deborah Kempthorne. Christy Zolkowski, excuse me. Radical centrist because everybody's talking to everybody. This is my honest to God dream, is that y'all are having these kinds of conversations in a channel that I started. I can't tell you how tickled I am by that. Deborah Kempthorne. Oh my. What internet woes I'm stuck with tonight. DeSantis must be interfering with our signal. DeSantis. Wanted to go back up. I saw I saw some of the comments while I was dancing, teasing about the vape and the what have you. It's 100% true. Look, one of the main goals of this channel is just to raise the bar in society, and that will likely mean the bar gets raised above my head. Fine, so be it. That's good. That's good. Your old pal Jake, his purpose here is so that if you ever hit rock bottom, you know you got company. You got a pal down there. And you'll rise up. Brendan Carter, excuse me. Let me look up. Rextrek, hey Jake, you're no Herb Tarlek. Oh, let's have a look. Why do I know that name? Ah, wait a minute. Oh God, this whatever in Cincinnati, yes, and I'll have you know, I aspire to be Herb Tarlek. Oh my God! All right. Oh, wait a minute. Wicked Foxy Dragon about Jank declaring they are going to be mainstream progressive, whatever that means. Look. I don't think TYT is going to be mainstream progressive, but I think progressive is going to be mainstream. I think right now, on the internet, to my horror, both progressive and MAGA style channels are considered the main things that are out there, like the standard content viewed. I think those MAGA stuff are just, they're going to go into hiding. I think it's going to be like being a fan of Father Coughlin back in the day. It's just, that'll be the kind of thing you keep to yourself. I don't think centrist stuff is going to play, because centrist really means conservative in America these days. It's not, I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that as like a literal assessment. Centrist is slow to change. Centrist means, oh, let's compromise between these two folks and wind up in this very in-between area. Well, yeah, that's called conservatism, being slow to change. That's nothing. There's nothing inherently wrong with that as a philosophy. I'm not trying to dunk on that. And y'all know I do not hesitate to dunk on centrists all the time. I'm just saying, inherently, there's nothing wrong with having that as a guiding philosophy. But that is it. It is conservative, and I think when we get to the era where internet stuff is the mainstream, what is going to hold up by that time, what is still going to be around by that time, what is going to be established and have an audience and grow their audience fastest is going to be progressive content, which is delightful for me. And let's hope by that time all my fantasies come true, and what you can do is a one show of many on WYCD, and it's the smallest show where you and I hang out, and we've got other prettier hosts on the network who are a little less sweat covered and vape stinking and shaking their tush when a former president gets indicted. I'm sorry, I just can't get over it. Oh my God. I'm very happy. Let's look at what the speaking of. Let's look at what the television folks are saying about this. Oh God. In the background of this, I think the audio's off, but in the background I've just got videos playing. I'm letting them collect those views. Why not? Brian Tyler Cohen, on a side note as I set this up. Brian Tyler Cohen, I have never met the man. I don't know what he's like in his personal life. I've only ever seen the same stuff everybody else that I know has seen of him, which is what he puts out publicly on the old internet there. I'm so proud of him. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so proud of this guy. Not only, well, all right, let's take a moment to talk Brian Tyler Cohen. Not only does he put out really good, in my opinion, progressive content, not only does he have interesting things to say, not only does he get interviews with people that I think are valuable for other folks to hear from, but he has done this without taking commercials. If you're in the Wicked Lobbyists, those are our channel members, you can see I, at this early stage, have been debating whether I should take commercials. He's got more than 1 million subscribers. He could charge an arm and a leg for commercials if he wanted to. The temptation to make money is there. And with brass balls, this guy said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm delighted that the earth, the universe, is rewarding him and that he is a contributor on MSNBC now. I would send him roses, except that it would terrify him if I were able to find out his address to send him the roses. But my God, I'm happy for the guy. Let's have a look at what the folks on cable television, or just regular television, whatever, network television, are saying about the Trump indictment. Man, it's always an event for me to have a look at the facts and then look at how the current mainstream interprets the facts. But I have to say, it's damning enough that I'm not too terribly concerned that folks over at, say, MSNBC are going to be tut-tutting the treatment of a former president. Thank God. Thank God we are in the era where we can talk frankly about these things. Let's check out MSNBC and let's see what they had to say with their breakdown of the indictment of Donald Trump for his attempted coup. Oh, it feels good to say. Good Lord.
So Ari Melber is with me here. Ari, let me just, something that jumped out to me, and I'm kind of working this document in real time, but we've talked a lot about the mindset of Donald Trump and how important that was going to be to understand whether he knew what he was doing was in the furtherance of a crime. And now we have it here in the indictment. These claims, according to the indictment, these claims about the elections, the claims were false. The defendant knew that they were false. In fact, the defendant was notified repeatedly that his claims were untrue, often by the people on whom he relied for candid advice on
Pinkerbell just making me chuckle here regarding Brian Tyler Cohen. Everyone thinks he's gay because he's young and dresses well. Yeah, yet another reason I like the man is he wears a suit. I mean, look, out in the world, you don't have to wear a suit to get my respect. I just feel like if you're gonna do a show, even if it's a cheap show on the internet, put on your Sunday best. I'm glad he does that. I will say on people thinking Brian Tyler Cohen is gay, I have a dear friend who was devastated to find out that his sexuality is unconfirmed. Yeah, some people did think he was gay. Some people very disappointed to find out that at the very least he's not out. I don't know what he is though. I've never bothered to ask because I'm interested in his politics mostly. But if you find out he's gay, send me a message and I will console or console. There we go. I will console one heartbroken Michigander.
Important matters and who were best positioned to know the facts, and he deliberately disregarded the truth. And then it goes on to list examples of him disregarding that truth.
Yeah, that's a core of this brand new indictment that we've just gotten, because the lies here are actually crimes, according to Jack Smith. That language, defraud the U.S., means that you're knowingly perpetuating a fraud. This is something we've been waiting on. I'm just going to hold it up here for our newsroom cameras. We talk about a speaking indictment. This is something more like a shouting indictment.
Yeah.
This is incredibly detailed. We've been making our way through it. I've read part of it. It is incredibly broad, specific.
Oh, Ari Melber. Ari Melber. I like that. It's a shouting indictment. Yes. Good way to put it, brother. There we go.
Specific and damning. The number of states involved are far broader than you would need. We're seeing basically a multi-state conspiracy allegation, what they call the 6, quote, contested states. We're seeing basically 3 conspiracies Jack Smith charges Donald Trump with. You've alluded to these in your reporting, and I just want to read from, we have 3 of them laid out at one point where he says, with some detail, the conspiracy to defraud the U.S. was using fraud to impair and obstruct the lawful federal government function to process a presidential election. Conspiracy 2, to corruptly obstruct and impede the January 6th congressional proceeding. That's, of course, the day that they stormed the Capitol for that proceeding. And then C, a conspiracy against the right to vote and have one's vote counted in violation of federal law. And so this is very specific. We've heard a lot of spin and minimizing and lies, outright lies, about what happened in and around January 6th. This is now going to be tested in court. The new indictment of Donald Trump here is Jack Smith saying there were these 3 conspiracies that are charged. As for those 6 co-conspirators, my view, and our analysts will weigh in, but I think this is a broader set of co-conspirators than many were expecting. There was talk about what my colleague just mentioned, that there was a DOJ official, Mr. Clark. There was Mr. Eastman, a very controversial lawyer who was pushing things that he himself admitted in writing were probably unlawful. But this is 6 individuals. We have the 4 attorneys, the DOJ official, and then co-conspirator 6, a political consultant who implemented a plan to submit fraudulent slates of presidential electors. And the reason why this is also really significant as a very strong indictment here is we're looking at a lot of different lanes. Jack Smith has to have the evidence to prove all of them, but he's also going to be presenting to a jury, if this goes to trial, many different crimes, 3 different conspiracies. And so if you win some, not all of those, you still have then a conviction. And so, Andrew, I would bring you in on that.
Ooh, really good point. As blatant, in my opinion, as most of this stuff was, it is important to keep in mind sometimes you don't get a conviction in the United States for the sake of protecting against corruption in the future. And we have had so much corruption in favor of the defendant of late that it's real easy to forget that we are supposed to err on the side of that. It is supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be a challenge for the government to prove somebody did a crime. And it annoys me to say this right now. It annoys me to take a moment to say this, but I want to do it so that in the future I don't look like a hypocrite. That's good. We erred too far on that side this time, for sure. We should have brought the case a lot earlier. But my only point is that it is possible, and it doesn't mean things are broken, that Trump would skate by on some of these charges. And it's also why it is a very good thing that there are multiple charges. And I think there is about a snowball's chance in hell that this guy's all right, let's use a non-already used phrase. There's about a pizza slice's chance at a buffet, if I'm there, that Trump will manage to skate by all of these charges. It's not going to happen.
That and the vice president part is the one more thing I wanted to flag and get your legal analysis on, as we're all kind of doing this in real time. This looks like new information to me. I'm reading from page 33, and again, we're just going through this.
You're a fast reader.
On December 25th, Vice President called the defendant, the former president, Donald Trump, listed as the defendant. So this is Christmas Day, obviously. Called the defendant to wish him a Merry Christmas. Reading from the new indictment. The defendant quickly turned the conversation to January 6th. So this is, of course, about 2 weeks out. It says, quote, the vice president pushed back, telling the defendant, as he had before, quote, you know, I don't have the authority to change the outcome. And then this very damning narrative continues December 29th, January 1st, January 3rd. I'm not going to read all of them, but it basically is outlining as criminal evidence, and this has never happened before today, as criminal evidence what the then outgoing president, commander-in-chief, Donald Trump, was doing and saying to officials in government, including his number two, the vice president, is criminal evidence of a conspiracy to defraud the United States. The pushback to this, and the defendant's presumed innocent, it would be, well, doesn't the president have broad authority to make inquiries, requests, and even issue orders to his subordinates? And here what we're seeing, and Andrew, weigh in if you like, is an argument by Jack Smith that that was actually crossing over from governing to abusing the power of the United States government to defraud and commit a crime against the U.S.
Well, let's remember that every government official, most of all the President of the United States, whoever holds that office, takes an oath of office to uphold the Constitution. And Eric, to your point, if you look at paragraph 90B on page 33, you have the allegation clearly coming from the Vice President of the United States.
Hold up. Good man, Andrew Weissman. Look at us. We're all not wearing our glasses for today. We're all getting as gussied up as our haggard bodies will allow us. Every public official, not including but especially the President of the United States, takes an oath and must be accountable to that oath. That is an excellent point, Andrew Weissman. If you were here, I would give you a smooch on either cheek for saying that. That is completely accurate. That is the point I think a lot of folks who don't pay particularly close attention to this need to take into their soul and really understand. It's not that a president, their little faux pas should be ignored, because a president is well, they're a little bit above the law. No, if anybody is in fact below us on how far we need to and how closely we need to follow the law, it's the president. They get a hell of a lot of passes on a hell of a lot of things in the name of working for us. They do not get a pass. They don't even get wiggle room on their oath, because all those other passes are based on the idea that they're working for us, not working against us, certainly not working for themselves.
States who, remember, went into the grand jury and testified, something he didn't provide information to the January 6th committee, and said that the President of the United States told him falsely that the, quote, Justice Department was finding major infractions. And we know that's not true. We know that from Bill Barr. We know that from Jeffrey Rosen. We know that from Rich Donahue. We know that Jeff Clark was willing to say, I am going to say that, which is what the former president wanted. Just say it, even though it wasn't true. So this is definitely a major new allegation. I just wanted to comment for a moment on what some viewers may have as a question, which is you referenced that there are these 6 co-conspirators who are not named, but
well, let's not just skate by that. Let's really drop in on that point. He was willing to say that they found evidence, even though they hadn't found evidence. That's the core of it. We don't need to dwell. Just understand right there, that's the core of it. Just say you found something. In other words, just lie. Just lie. I'm lying. Just lie. That's what they're saying. Wild. Absolutely wild. All right, bring us home, baby.
Are clearly sort of identified, and people are going to be quickly putting together who they are. And somebody might ask, well, why are they not charged in this?
Or why not named, yeah.
Exactly. Well, not named is because they aren't charged.
Okay.
So that's just a DOJ policy, which is basically put up or shut up. If you charge somebody, you can name them. If you're not charging them, you can't name them. So that's why you have things like in the Mar-a-Lago case saying employee 1, employee 2, attorney 1, attorney 2. So here it's by description.
That is also why in Michael Cohen's case, individual 1 is referred to as individual 1 who went on to win the office of President of the United States. Donald Trump is listed but not named in a convicted case where he gave the orders to do something illegal. That also is something we're going to have to deal with down the line. Way down the line. Because right now, Donald Trump's got the spotlight all to himself, just like he likes.
But not by name. But if you look at the cover page, it is just United States versus Donald J. Trump. This, to me, shows that Jack Smith wants to get to trial, and he wants to get to trial quickly. Those other people may be charged in a separate case. He clearly is saying that they are guilty. But the reason that you don't see 7 defendants is if you want to get to trial, you bring something narrow and focused against the defendant who you need to try before the general election. So if I were those 6 people, I would not be sleeping well tonight. But I don't think that we should anticipate they're going to be included here because this shows.
Fair enough. So the breakdown from the experts there is that the folks that were indicated, let's say, but not directly named, this doesn't mean they're going to get away with it. And that's good. The reason this is put the way it is put is for speed, because they are trying to just try one person right now, which we have been saying here, but in the comments as well as in front of the camera, we have been saying is the way things ought to go. Get this done. Why? Because we got an election coming up. Because Merrick Garland wasted too much of the country's time. He wasted your time, my time. We did not have eternity to decide if we were going to do this. And we certainly were not going to put up with the standard playbook of waiting until America got bored and then saying we were going to let people get away with it. So, because time is a severe factor now, just one person is getting charged right now. Just one person is getting indicted right now. And that's Donald J. Trump. And he's going to have a quick trial as these trials go. Although, let's admit, there's never been a trial quite like this one before. Can't wait. Cannot wait. And the others, the rest of these bums, they're going to get what's coming to them. And we'll cover that too. It's a good day in a new America. And this new America is a country I like. God, that feels. Mayor Chance. I fought the law and the law won. Yeah. For the record, the version of that which I will always like most is the punk version. Oh my God. It's like my favorite band. The Clash. The Clash. That is my favorite version of that. Do we know when the trial will get rolling? Asks Pinkerbell. No, unfortunately. But we will know Thursday. Donald Trump is going to be, I believe, arraigned Thursday, and then we will know when the trial date is. Or at least the first one, before he complains and gets it moved slightly. But I would say that given the indictment, the wording of it and the focus of it, I don't think the prosecutors are going to take much guff. So I would expect it to be quick. Anti-corporatist. I fought the law and I cold one? Oh, and I cold one. Oh, okay, like a beer. Fair enough. Obsessive audio. This feels huge in a good way. It is. It is. In the future, when people are answering the question of how the country as it exists in the future got started, this will be cited. The times we have lived through will be viewed as sad, corrupt times where the people were suffering and the rich were making them suffer without consequence. Broadly speaking, that will be the tone of future history textbooks when talking about our time. And when they talk about how that changed, this will be the main thing they discuss. All the other stuff around it will be leading to this, and all the other stuff after it will reference this, and will say how this trial made it possible. So you are witnessing a foundational legal moment for America's future. And it looks like, especially if you all keep up doing what you've been doing, the America we're going to be living in the future, it's going to be one that you'll actually want to be in. The anti-corporate, it's a Beastie Boys lyric, young Jake. Wait a minute. You're talking to someone who owns these not because of Joe Biden, but because of the music video for Sabotage. You're talking to someone who went as the tentacled beast from Intergalactic Planetary to multiple Halloween parties. There's no way. Oh wait, never mind. The tentacled beast was the fan video I made for Intergalactic Planetary. There's no way I missed a Beastie Boys lyric. The anti-corporatist, viewed by whom, Jake? We're in the end times, one way or another. I mistyped the title and I've just now spotted it. I think, if I'm frank with you here, I think we're in rough times, and I think we are in the end times for a bad era. But as harsh as global warming is going to get, as it is going to take up more and more of our efforts, we are going to need to spend less and less of our efforts wrestling with crazy people for controls of government. I do think that it's worth having an optimistic view of the future while acknowledging that that it's going to be a harsh struggle. But it's a harsh struggle coming up between a version of nature that was corrupted by our own past mistakes immediately against the species that split the atom and walked on the mothering moon. We'll win. We are the masters of this reality, and we're going to show it, goddammit. But it's going to be rough, and it's going to be a hell of a fight. So get ready. Did I see Doug Connors on there? I did. Let's have a look, brother. Douglas Connors. I had to pause for a second, given that I got here late to see how my old pal Jake opened the show. It's the good tune, the smooth moves, blueberry milkshake time. Yes, indeed. Oh, listen, my eager beaver friend. I am looking forward to to chatting with y'all at any point. At any point, you are welcome on this show at any point to discuss how our neighbors to the north feel about this. Ooh, it's been a long time. It's like, when I talk to folks from Canada or Mexico or and anywhere remotely near us, it's like talking to your pal when you owe him money. I feel a little bit bad. I feel like I got to come hat in hand and be like, oh, well, we're working on it. We're working on it. And finally, I feel like I can hold my head high. God, I Wicked Foxy Dragon kept me in check with Jack Smith, and I will forever be grateful to that gal for that. Wicked Foxy Dragon, thank you. Because now I'm gonna get a poster of Jack Smith, much like a gal on the Brady Bunch might have had a poster of Davy Jones. I'm gonna be creepy about it. I'm looking forward to it. Brendan Carter, Exxon should pay dearly. Yes. I'm looking for a lot of these CEOs. Just talking turkey with you here. I'm looking forward in the near future to criminal investigations where we view what the CEOs knew, what the boards of these companies knew about what they were doing to our environment, what would happen, what they hid, what they paid people to lie about. And I'm looking for us to be frank about whether or not those are crimes under the laws we have right now. Because in the United States, we gave companies a lot of rights that people are supposed to have. And I'm of the belief that those rights come with responsibilities as well. In fact, it comes down to, did these people know they were harming us, and did they lie about it? If the answer is yes, then the question is, what are the criminal consequences? You wanted to be a multi-billionaire instead of, just having $1.5 billion? Okay, what did you do for it? Did you cause a tornado? Did you make the water temperature in Florida over 100 degrees? Are you responsible for that? Well, hell, you're going to prison. Did you kill a town with your irresponsible behavior? Did you cause a train to derail and chemicals to spill into the water? You're going to prison for the rest of your life. All the money you made, removed. All your stocks, sold. Broken down into dollars, used to pay restitution to people that had to flee their homes. In other words, you cannot keep your illegally gained money, your immorally gained money, and for the harm you caused that cannot be paid for with money, you're going to pay for it by serving time in a prison cell. That's the next phase. That's after we deal with the crisis of democracy. Then we start whooping the asses of the people who have been profiting off of the entire world's suffering. And hey, by the way, if you're in another country watching this, now would be a great time to petition your government to sanction my government. I ask you because, frankly, we need an intervention. Think of this as the portion of the American people that acknowledge we got a problem with our capitalist overlords. We need an intervention. Petition your country to sanction us for our pollution, for the harm we're causing. Encourage us, motivate us. Don't let us go on thinking that nothing's wrong. But that's for later. Because right now we're happy. Brendan Carter, let the hate flow. Oh, yeah. Folks, I got to tell you. just bubbling under the surface. basically at all times is a fury that knows no bounds, is a deep and rich hatred which it bubbles like a magma that at any moment could burst forth and burn everything. I swear to you and the Lord Jesus Christ, it is an act of will, not at every moment to just get up, sprint to the nearest big-looking office, and start wrecking up the place. But that ultimately is not very productive and won't accomplish anything, and that's an immature response. I feel the need to remind myself out loud. It is a 2 for Tuesday, by the way. Ooh, dawned on me. Until we get Citizens United out of campaign finance, we really will struggle to be a democracy. True, and there is a way we can do that. I've got it on the website. Jesus, I never update the live stream on the website. Regardless, there is a guide on what you can do. That's WYCDnetwork.com. If you go there, there's a guide to getting big money out of politics. It specifically talks about how to deal with that. We will get it dealt with. Ooh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And Douglas, look, I know Douglas is a friend because he knows me well enough to ask Foxy this. Douglas Connors, hi Foxy, could you please be sure to get us his live show schedule so we can find a time to come on live? Answer to that is every night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll contact you in a minute. I would be delighted to come talk with you guys. I'll write you an email after this show. Rex Trek, Jake, I knew you and I had a lot in common. LOL. Yeah. I think a lot of I think folks look at progressives and people that hang out with progressives and think they are a bunch of peaceniks, and they're mostly right. But it's not by temperament. It's because we arrive there with a supreme act of will sometimes. Douglas Connors, I pay attention. Fair. Oh God, radical centrist saying dawned on me not alone in the conflicted mood. Oh, let's look at mood. Dawned on me. Let's look at this. Dawned on me saying she's got a conflicted mood about all this. Yeah, it does feel a little bit like the end of Return of the Jedi, right? Like we're all dancing, we're happy, but it's also a funeral a little bit. Like we're happy that an evil is starting to get avenged. That acknowledges that there's avenging to do and that something had to be avenged in the first place, and that there's work in our future. But, I'll be Leia with the long hair. I want to be the cute one. Y'all, let's enjoy ourselves. It's a 2 for Tuesday. That means I'll be back in about an hour. Let's say I want to say I'll be back at about 11. That's the plan, is to be back at 11. So I'll probably see you at about 11:05. And this has been WYCD Wicked. Not drunk yet, but I will be tonight. That stands for what you can do. I'll see you next time. Oh, my name's Jake.